Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 539 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm happy you're here, and I hope you're happy you're here. Have you been noticing your thoughts a little bit more lately? I hope so. We're bombarded daily by input coming in from everywhere, and we have the job of filtering and deciding what's worth our time and what's not. And there's a lot to choose from. And so when I say I'm honored that you show up every week for these podcast episodes that I put out, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Okay, so speaking of podcasts, my husband and I were talking the other day about podcasts, and he said he just doesn't have time to listen to the 3-hour ones. You know, there's some really good ones that last 3 hours, but he works a lot, and so I don't think most people have time to listen to 3-hour podcasts, unless you drive for a living maybe. But most of us also have a short attention span, and studies are showing that it's getting shorter, probably because of all the reels and the things that we are always on, you know. I also know that there's really juicy topics all around us. There's an endless supply of that, like crazy political stories, bad news, crime statistics. There's tons of that. And we're bombarded by that seemingly all day, every day. It's no wonder our brains find it hard to go to sleep. And then when we do go to sleep, it's hard to stay asleep. I mean, because our brains want to rehash all that stuff that we're dealing with in the world today. And maybe on top of that, it's playing over and over that conversation that annoyed us, or playing over and over the things that we wish we had have said or hadn't have said. Our brain seems to have a mind of its own until you realize, without a doubt, you are not your brain. You are not your thoughts. You're actually the one that's in the background watching everything you do. You're the one aware of all of it. And once you realize that, that means you can also control it, you can calm it, and you can quiet it. All these social media apps like X and Instagram and TikTok and the news like CNN, Fox News, it's never ending. And it's everywhere. It isn't realistic to say, I'm going to avoid it all the time. Not in the world we live in today. So how are we supposed to manage our mindset in a world that's moving so fast? Sometimes faster than we're comfortable with, especially when a lot of times things like the social media shows or social media anything they may throw us into a tailspin. And the news might make us think, oh, the world's a scary place. Social media might have us thinking, I'm not good enough, or my life is boring in comparison, or I just don't have what all those successful people have. There are so many thoughts that we aren't even aware of that are sabotaging us every time we turn around. And that's why it's crucial to remember we control more about our life than we realize. And once we realize it, you see more and more how the thoughts you have are shaping every single thing you do. I have a really important meeting this week for my podcast, and I'm super excited about it. Now, I don't know how it's going to end up, but I've caught myself with so many self-doubting thoughts, self-defeating thoughts. But the good thing is, I now can catch them. I'm now aware of them. I know they are not me. I'm the watcher of them. The old me would have sabotaged any thought of a meeting or even reaching out because, well, in my mind, my podcast doesn't have the reach that others do. Or what if my analytics aren't good enough? I'm just, maybe I'm just too embarrassed to put them out there. I could list 15 more thoughts that I had, but I noticed all of them. And I also recognize the old pattern of trying to set the bar low for myself so that I don't feel disappointed. But that's not who I am anymore. I don't have to play small to be loved. If you listen to episode 537, you can hear how that thought was put in my head from a young age. But I notice now what playing small has cost me, and I'm not willing to do it anymore. And thoughts are a crazy thing. And we have upwards of 80,000 thoughts a day. And something like 70 to 80% of those are negative. If we're not careful, we live in a loop of misery and then wonder why we stay there. That is why one of the main reasons I do this podcast is for me and for you. so that we can see and choose our potential on purpose and intentionally, rather than hanging out in autopilot, wondering why we keep doing things that we wish we could stop doing. But you're doing it because a thought about it works for you in some crazy way. A thought that maybe helped you navigate as a kid, like me when I played small to feel loved. But it's not working for us anymore. Not as adults. We don't have to use that anymore. We don't have to live that. We don't have to tell that story anymore. Now, I believe quieting your mind by meditation or walking in nature, at the very least getting in touch with your thoughts, is where healing and growing begin. And that's what I try to help us do at least twice a week with each episode, where we together can navigate how we find peace in a world that's moving pretty quickly. And the reason I keep them short is, first of all, so you don't get bored, and second of all, you get to listen to them on the way to work or dropping the kids off to school or going to the gym. And then when you get to work, or maybe you get back home, maybe something in the episode helps you be a little more tolerant of the people that annoy you, or maybe the boss that's cranky that day, or maybe you hear something in an episode that reminds you to give grace to your spouse who woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Or maybe they said something they didn't mean, and you get to decide whether you're going to ruminate about it all day. And that episode reminded you not to. Little mindset nuggets that help us remember we're all human. Your life is definitely what you make of it. The grass isn't greener on the other side. And if it looks like it is when you get over there, you realize it's painted grass that fades really quickly. And now you wish you had your own grass back. I hope to remind you that being intentional is hard, but it's way harder in the long run when you live without intention. Or maybe just to remind you that you're worthy just because you were born. Whether anyone has told you that in your life or not, you're worthy and you are loved. Now, sometimes it feels good to remember that. When I was sharing with my husband some of my negative thoughts about my upcoming meeting, he reminded me to let go and let God. It is all working out as it should. And I couldn't have said it better myself. I instantly felt better because I realized I was worrying about an outcome I didn't control. The only thing I control is how I show up, how I do my best. And I'll do that, guaranteed. That's the power of an intentional mindset, knowing things are working out as they should, but also showing up with your A game consistently. Your thoughts affect everything you do, from how you feed and move your body to the quality of your relationships at home and at work. Keep hanging out here with me twice a week, and don't forget to subscribe so you get notified. Remember, life is busy, so that little nudge of, hey, there's a new episode out, it's only going to be about 10 minutes, that's pretty useful. My challenge to you this week, though, is don't beat yourself up if you're spending a little more time on social media or watching the news. But know what it's doing to you and how it's making you think about your own life. And in order to do that, you have to know you're in control. You have to be aware of your thoughts. A consistent meditation practice will help you do that. But also podcasts like mine, or the School of Greatness, or Mel Robbins, all of those do that too. It helps to balance, it helps to really balance out the chaos we may feel from the rest of the world. Share this with 3 people who you love. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.